Hey guys, it's Dr. Emma, and I have been let loose by myself on the channel today. So I promise I haven't tied Dr. Sam up somewhere around. But I thought that today it would be really great to talk about menopausal skin because it's something that is really, at the moment, a real interest of mine. And I've always been banging on about how basically sort of every decade or so you need to take stock of what you need to do with your skin and what your skin actually needs at that phase of your life. And at the moment for me, what's really interesting me is menopause. And I think for so long, actually, menopause has been something that women have been expected to go through and not really moan anything about, just get on with it. But we know that it is such a sort of pivotal time in a woman's life, and particularly in skin. So understanding a bit about what happens around the menopause and how that changes your skin is the first thing. And then we can work out, well, what do we actually need to do to address the skin changes that can happen in the menopause? So basically, menopause is when your periods essentially totally stop. And by medical definition, your periods would have to have stopped for a year to say that you are truly menopausal. But this is a really, really long process. Now, the average age in the UK for menopause is 52, but it can really vary. So some people can have their menopause very early, some people can have it much, much later. And like I said, the process can be going on for quite a few years before it actually happens. And it's really important to your skin because we know that estrogen, which is one of the really strong female hormones, has a really profound impact on your skin. And it does a lot of different things in the skin. So it helps to hydrate. So it helps your skin to hold in hydration and water. It helps to boost your collagen function. You know by now that collagen is one of the main structural proteins within your skin. So when you start to lose your collagen because your estrogen levels are dropping, you start to notice that the skin becomes more wrinkled, slightly thinner, and it becomes much more sensitive as well, partly because of the thinning of the skin, but also because of the water holding in. And it's estimated that in the first 5 years after you have your menopause, you lose about 30% of your skin's collagen, which is frankly a bit terrifying. And so actually trying to repair this sort of change, trying to really address it, is a really great part of menopausal skincare. And I think the other thing is that actually at any sort of stage, if you're going through such an important stage of your life, it's quite a time. And actually you may feel that you're losing confidence a bit, you may flush a bit, you may be noticing some psychological changes. And the last thing you want to be worrying about is your skin. So we then need to work out how you want to address it. And I think there are a few different things that we can talk about with this. So when I'm thinking in clinic about how I can help my patients who are either around the menopausal time or post-menopausal, I start to think about it in a couple of different ways. So one is, how can we start to address the estrogen deficiency that you start to see in skin? And we're starting to call this estrogen deficient skin, or EDS. So how do we target the estrogen changes? And then the second thing is, how do we look after the skin and actually respond to all the sorts of changes that we start to see? So that's dryness, sensitivity, wrinkling, thinning of the skin. And I'm going to start with that first, because actually I think there is so much that can be done. Generally over the years, your skin gets more sensitive and drier. So you need to adapt your skincare so it's not too harsh. And that starts with the most basic steps of your skincare. So cleansing, make sure that you're using the right product. It needs to be something really soothing. I go non-foaming, non-fragranced, and often tend to avoid against, say, lactic acid, salicylic acid. So where your skin might want to be more oily, actually often around the menopausal time, it's starting to reduce down. So cleansing with something really nice and light, a cream-based cleanser, non-foaming, non-fragranced. And then moisturizers, they again have to be quite rich. But in the menopause, because of the hormonal changes, what you often find is that the male hormone can start to become relatively slightly stronger in the body because the female hormones are dropping. And so for some women, they will start to notice breakouts. So as well as being really rich and nourishing and hydrating for your skincare, you do have to still make sure that it's non-pore blocking and non-comedogenic. So a nice rich moisturizer, but something that's not going to block your pores. And I'm looking for ingredients like, say, shea butter, ceramide, which is fantastic for the skin barrier, niacinamide, all of those can be non-pore blocking but have a really nice effect on your skin barrier. Then we start to think about protecting. And even though, so some people come and say, look, I've had loads of sun exposure in the past, so really what's the point? You've still got a lot of cumulative sun exposure to go. So even if you're postmenopausal, you're sort of 50s, you are still young and you've got a lot of sun exposure to go. So make sure that sun protection, antioxidant protection is still part of your skincare routine. Then thinking about trying to boost the collagen function. So for wrinkling, things like retinols and obviously prescription grade retinoids I use a lot, and I think it's a really great time. Sometimes people think that actually over time, if skin is older, you can't use vitamin A based products, retinoids, retinols. You absolutely can. And I think it's a very important part of trying to protect that collagen, particularly in the perimenopausal period where we know that it's just falling off. So using a retinol or retinoid is a really helpful way. And then I think about the sort of hormonal changes. So what's really exciting at the moment is I think that there are lots and lots of options to try and help with hormonal replacement treatments. And that's both from the skin point of view, but also systemically. So some of you may have seen that we do have an excellent new product, something called Menopausal, and I'm working with them at the moment, which has got a product called MEP in. And basically this product isn't a hormone. So if you're somebody that's like, oh, I'm not really sure about hormones, it actually works in the same way as estrogen works on your skin, but it doesn't have any of the sort of hormonal side effects within you. So it's not absorbed within the body and it doesn't have any sort of side effects. But what it does do is to stimulate your skin cells in the same way that estrogen does to help hold in the water and also help boost collagen function. And there are lots of good studies now in America which have shown that it does have a really significant and helpful effect. So that's one option, the Menopausal, to help with your skin and just work at a skin level. But the other thing I think you should think about, and I'm not a hormone specialist, I'm not a menopause doctor, I'm not a gynecologist, but I think the evidence overwhelmingly is that if you are getting symptoms with the menopause, that hormone replacement therapy in whatever guise it may be, either tablets or patches or whatever it may be, can be really, really helpful and can be done in a safe way. So don't think that hormonal replacement therapy is all the sort of scare stories that we see in the press, because there's a lot of good options and it's definitely worth going and having a chat with your doctor. Now, aside from like medical treatments and skincare, lifestyle, again, like with pretty much every phase of your life or condition, is actually super important. So the things I think can really help in menopause are diet, exercise, and sleep. So diet, really trying to maintain a generally healthy, low inflammatory diet, keeping it low GI, avoiding refined and processed foods, and really trying to boost things like your essential fatty acids. So lots of different sort of oily fish and avocados, nuts, seeds, and then trying to get a range of antioxidants in different coloured fruits and vegetables. Exercise, so important, and for your muscle bulk, for your general health, and for your mental health. I think it's so important. And then sleep, which actually can become a real problem when you're flushing. So sleep, if you're really hot and you're having lots of nighttime and daytime flushes, it can be a problem, but trying to work with that. And like I said before, maybe even hormone replacement therapy if you need to. And then alongside the flushing, dietary and lifestyle things that can make it worse. So alcohol, trying to minimize that, and keeping your diet sort of relatively low in like spicy foods or anything that may exacerbate the flushing. So there's a lot to be done around the menopausal time, getting your skincare right, making sure that your hormones are right, diet, lifestyle. But for some people, if they want to actually address some of the volume changes and the loss of collagen that happen at a deeper level, it may be that you want to start to think about some sorts of procedures. And when I'm talking about procedures, I'm thinking sort of non-invasive things. So what can we do to actually get even deeper down than our creams can do? Well, I use a lot of microneedling. We can use a bit of Botox, fillers to try and help restore a bit of the volume, and sometimes lasers. And if you would like to know a bit more about treatments in the context of menopausal skin, then do let us know, because then we can get a session going with Dr. Rakesh, who is the total expert on all things procedural. So hopefully that does give you a bit of an insight into how you need to shape things up around the menopausal period. So follow me on Instagram. I'm on Dr. M. Wedgeworth. And if you do need any sort of prescription treatments, then come and see me in clinic. Bye, guys.